Hello there, my name is Justice Kao, and I am an undergraduate student working for Professor Eleanor Braverman. This project is called Influencing Two-Dimensional Ricker Mappings with Proportional Feedback. To start, let's consider the application of our work. The two-dimensional Ricker mapping can predict the behaviors of competing populations of species. This contributes to the important goal of understanding and controlling ecological systems. The two-dimensional Ricker mapping is derived from the one-dimensional Ricker model. This model was created to predict how the population of a single fish species could change over time, but has since been extended to other applications. In this presentation, I will use fish as an example, but other species and other systems can also be described with the Ricker model and the Ricker mapping. It consists of a single equation, which takes in the current population as an input and outputs a prediction of what the population will be after some amount of time, delta t. The Ricker model has two parameters, which can be varied to fit whatever system one wants to describe. We can repeatedly apply the Ricker model equation to find the population further and further in the future. In this diagram, the blue arrows represent the application of the equation to calculate a future population. Here the equation is applied 4 times, using the last computed population as an input. We can graph the predictions like so. In this example, the population increases from 1 to 3, then decreases back to 1. This kind of system can have different kinds of behavior. Cyclic behavior occurs when the population varies periodically, and chaotic behavior occurs when there is no discernible pattern. Stable behavior occurs when the population reaches a stable value that does not change as time increases. Let us now consider two-dimensional Ricker mappings, which is what our research focused on. These mappings are similar to the one-dimensional Ricker mapping, but now they consist of 2 equations, which each take in the populations of 2 different species as inputs and output the future populations of both species. Any Ricker mapping has 4 parameters. R and S describe the base growth rates of the populations, and alpha and beta represent the degree of competition between the species. Here is an example of the application of the two-dimensional Ricker mapping to a 2-species system. As before, the blue arrows represent the application of the equations to predict future populations. However, now we have 2 species instead of 1. The orange lines represent the populations of the orange fish, and the black lines represent the populations of the black fish. Cyclic and chaotic behavior will look like this. In the cyclic case, both species populations will vary periodically, and in the chaotic case, there will be no pattern for either species. Stable behavior occurs when both populations reach stable values. So what did we want to do with these mappings? Another research group recognized that when R and S are between 0 and 2, and the product of alpha and beta is less than 1, a Ricker mapping will behave stably. Depending on the specific values of R and S, one species can survive while the other goes extinct, both species can survive, or both species can go extinct. The group also analyzed other parameter ranges, but due to time constraints, we will not discuss them. Our goal was to use proportional feedback to induce each of these behaviors. If we could achieve this, it would mean we would have more control over 2-species ecosystems that follow the Ricker mapping's predictions. By proportional feedback, I mean that we multiplied 2 constants, c and d, by the right sides of the Ricker mapping equations. C and d are both less than 1. What this corresponds to in real life is the harvesting of a portion of each population every time step. We have the exact same equations, except we cut away some of each population at the end, when we multiply by c and d. The question was, can we introduce these constants to force any system to follow the 3 stable behaviors mentioned? Let's look at an example before we continue. In the following system, we start with 2 of each fish population, and eventually both species go extinct. If we introduce proportional feedback, with c and d both equal to 0.5, this corresponds to the removal of 1/2 of each population every time step. So if we start with 2 of each fish again, we take 1 of each away due to harvesting. Then let's say our original Ricker mapping predicts that 1 of each fish produces 2 of each fish after 1 time step. Then we end up with 2 of each fish. Repeating the process, we cut the populations down, then make a prediction with the original Ricker mapping. We end up with 2 of each fish again. One more time, we will have 2 of each fish. The fish population stays constant over time. By introducing proportional feedback, we prevented extinction of the fish species. The question, though, is can we do this for any system, and can we achieve any of the 3 behaviors mentioned earlier? We found that it is possible to achieve any of the 3 behaviors, assuming the original system fits certain parameter constraints. The product of alpha and beta must be less than 1, and R and S must be bigger than 0. We can stabilize 2-species systems that follow these types of Ricker mappings by harvesting portions of the populations at intervals. Thank you to Professor Braverman for supervising and working with me, and thank you to NSERC for funding this research. Here are our references, and that is all. Thank you.